everyone. Welcome to Crowd Sync Sessions. We're so happy to have you here at LDI. I'm really excited to introduce our speaker, Aria Hailey. She's going to talk about some 2025 lighting trends you can sync with, and I'm so excited to hear her. Here you go.
Hi, my name is Aria Hailey. I am a freelance programmer, and I work part-time for ZachTrack, and I just like making a lot of videos, if you've seen any. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys a few stories just from what I've experienced this year, maybe encourage you to continue working in your field. Yeah, so I went out on tour this year and got to use CrowdSync. I got to use it in a couple different ways, and it was so fun to see how it engages the crowd. And I learned a couple things along the way, and I just wanted to have a chance to share with you guys today. Really excited about it. But just one quick story that encouraged me in the last month. I was sitting with some friends, and we're sitting around on some couches just talking about some worship songs. And I was like, oh my goodness, the song they did on tour was really good. Let's look it up. So we look it up on YouTube, and we find the video, and one of the other girls in the room, who I don't know her personally, but we were just all hanging out, and she was like, I was at the show in LA. It was so good. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I was there too. And she's like, oh, you were? I said, yeah, I ran the lights. And she was freaking out. But the first thing that came out of her mouth after she found out I ran the lights was, did you program the wristbands? And I was like, oh, this is what really captured her heart. We did a lot of cool lighting effects. There was a lot of cool moments. But the one thing she took away was how she was a part of it. And this kind of showed me that I can take a step back and look at the show from their perspective and go, this is what touched her. Another quick story is I was in Kansas City, and I got to bring a bunch of my cousins to the show, and it was two of their first concert ever. And again, that was their big takeaway. There was a lot of stuff going on, but they were really excited about how the wristbands followed with the music. And this took me a step back to okay, how did we even approach this in the tour? It felt to me there was a lot of chaos within the design team and some communication issues. And in the end, I was busking along with the show with the wristbands. We didn't have them programmed in at first. And the design team was really pushing, can you do more? Can you do more? Can you do more? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. So our team got together a couple days before the shows, and we really dove into what it can do. And I found that the more it did, the more we engaged the crowd. And this was just okay, so what are we going to do next with it? So if you're adding something like this to your shows, where do you start? I always say with anything, right? This product, any product, right? All the ones I've worked with, the sooner you can get it in front of your client and in front of your artist, and they know what it's going to do, then they're going to be more excited about it. There's going to be more time to get to use it, and they're going to want to invest more into the product because it is going to touch their crowd, right? This is a huge part of what they're doing. And so our takeaways was, if we can get this in our rehearsal space, in our programming sooner, then we can actually do more with it. And the more I played with it, the more versatile I learned that it was. And I was like, okay, we just needed a little extra time, and then we can continue to engage the crowd. So, anyway, yeah, have you guys used this before or used something like it? One hand, two hands, three hands. Right, I mean, there's so many products that all do something similar, and we find different use cases for all of them. So as the rest of the crowd, people who want to use it. Want to add it to your shows? Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Rob has used it. He didn't raise his hand, but he has. Yeah. So, is there any questions about how we used it in our situation? Yeah, Christian.
How many zones did you have?
Oh, yes. So we used 8 zones. And so we put 2 on the floor, and then we put 3 in the 100 section, and then 2 in the 200 section. And so I've used this on 2 tours. So that was the first tour. And so that allowed us to kind of bounce between the floor and the 100s and the 200 section. And then we could kind of sparkle them and do some random stuff as well. The second tour I used it on, it was a shorter tour, and so they didn't want to go through the whole zoning section. So we just took all 10 zones, and we just put them all over the room. And this created for some really good random looks throughout the night. Yeah, so we could do lots of fun stuff. One of my favorite looks that we got to do was there was this one moment in our acoustic set, it was really slow, and this allowed us to turn on one zone at a time. So because they were completely spread out throughout the entire arena, we could bring on zone 1 slowly, and like the crowd would start to build, and then zone 2 and then zone 3. And that lasted over about 30 seconds. And so it was this really quick way that we like brought it to life. And then there was a couple other times where we just used 1 or 2 zones and we would flicker between them. So it looked a little more like there was like this random sparkle really slow. Because like a worship concert has lots of these like really subtle, beautiful moments. And so sometimes we would take them all away and kind of just let the crowd fall into the darkness and then find ways to slowly bring it back. And just like, yeah, so it created these beautiful moments like that. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your process for finding and implementing new technology?
Oh, yes. So obviously trade shows like this, great option for finding new technology. And then talking to your friends. I feel like I personally have learned more about new stuff from just sitting around with friends and going, oh, what did you use on your show? And like, how did you use it? And like that for me is a lot of fun. And then like looking at, like literally yesterday, this one girl I was just hanging out with, she showed me this light, and now I'm like, I was on the internet going, ooh, what does it do? Like, where can I use it? And like, what would the application be? So I do find like friends are the most, and then just doing your own research. Obviously, all manufacturers love to put out stuff about their products, so there's no shortage of finding out what it's going to do. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Is there a moment that really sticks with you throughout like your tours that just stands out among the rest?
Oh, it's definitely the first time the crowd sees the wristbands come on. It is so electric because they don't know, they kind of know what's going to happen, but like I don't think a lot of them, especially if it's their first time concert, they definitely don't understand exactly the impact it's going to have on them. So like we had a moment where it was like completely dark and the video screens were just like bubbling and like the anticipation's building, the artist isn't on stage yet, and then the wristbands would all go and like strobe and then go away. And they would strobe and go away with the music, and yeah, every single time we could like feel the energy in the crowd grow, and then the artist would come out, and it was just like the perfect setup for them to enter the stage. Yeah.
How do you stay ahead of those trends?
Staying ahead of trends. Oh, I think like we're all working on that, right? Like collectively, we're all like, how can we get ahead of it? But I think it just comes back to like your friends and communicating and like talking to each other. Like we're all trying to build each other up and show each other how to use these new products and give each other ideas. And I do think sometimes it's just sitting in a room with some really good friends and just going, oh, I did this, but I was thinking about this other thing. And then that ability just to bounce things off of each other, I think is the best way. It pushes each other, and yeah, I think it's how we keep getting ahead. Yeah. Yeah? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Aria. That was awesome. We're so glad to have you. Stick around. We have one more sync session coming up at 3:30 with Christian Jackson.
Woo!
So hang out, grab a wristband, and we'll see you back here soon.
Okay.
Thank you. One more time for Aria.